On 17 August 2015 at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I heard raised voices and I wasn't sure what was going on. And as part of the security staff, I felt that it was my job to go over there and check on it. We had actually been hearing about them wanting to start a riot at the school for a long time now, probably at least a month.
What we found out is there is an organization, an outside organization, working along with an outside attorney. They were getting these people together and empowering them to attack back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And I really want to thank you for coming out there and actually giving your part of the story. They are 5 co-defendants, and you are the only one that has come forward at this point. One of the things that we want to talk about in this segment is about August 17, 2015. Yes. I was not at the center that day.
No.
I was out. And something went down, and it's what set all this off. So I just want you to tell us in your own words what went on that day.
Of course. On 17 August 2015 at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was coming out of the education area of the school and heard a commotion in the front lobby area between defendant C as well and one of the students. I heard raised voices and I wasn't sure what was going on. And as part of the security staff, I felt that it was my job to go over there and check on it. Whenever I walked into the room, the youth stood up and became aggressive. So I stood on one side and defendant C stood on the other, as well as another co-defendant that we'll just call D today. The youth decided that he wanted to be combative, and the way I remember it is he either pushed or punched at defendant C. And whenever he did that, that's an escalation of force on his part, attacking one of the security staff. So we restrained him and took him to the ground to provide security for ourselves and attempted to apply mechanical restraints.
Just to make sure that we clarify to the audience, when he's talking about the defendants, he's talking about certified officers.
Yes.
They are all post-certified, and they're all trained to their teeth to deal with juveniles. It's not random people from the street as the media wants to portray.
That's correct.
Correct. And the DA's office wants to portray that these people have absolutely no training.
Yes, Defendant C was actually my supervisor at Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice, and he was the one that told me about the program.
Correct. And he is the one, he probably has more certifications than you do, more training.
Yes.
Because he was a supervisor.
Yes, he was a supervisor. He was also a Navy veteran as well.
Exactly. So moving forward again, or back into the fight. So you guys restrained this juvenile, and then something else happened. What happened?
During our restraint, another youth that we'll just call N came running out of the side area that was an isolation section of the school that did not have doors or locks on it. It was just a room for the youth to sit down.
It's like an ISS.
Yeah, kind of in-school suspension.
Right.
And he came out, so Defendant C stood up and restrained him to protect us from being attacked, while I stayed on the ground holding the original youth. Once Defendant C came back, I was actually able to have him put in restraints. I believe Defendant D actually put the restraints on him. And while we were doing that, another youth that we'll call H came running out of the back bedroom or back kitchen area with what's a squeegee, the long floor squeegees.
The commercial one, which is very heavy, so metal.
Yeah, and it was projected at the back of my head, actually cutting the back of my right ear. And I stood up, disengaged with the original youth that was on the ground and in restraints at this point, secured her against the wall, while another individual that worked there that was never indicted, Officer D, was able to apply restraints to that youth.
Correct. So all this was going on, and it looks like a riot.
Yes.
Like you were dealing with one juvenile, and then the other juveniles that were totally unrelated to the situation started popping from different rooms, from different scenarios.
Yeah, we had actually been hearing about them wanting to start a riot at the school for a long time now, probably at least a month. And it was going to involve the students that were staying at a off-site location altogether.
Not only that, but also what we found out years later is there is an organization, an outside organization, working along with an outside attorney. They were getting these people together and empowering them to attack back.
Yes.
Okay? So we find out later, years later, that this is what's going on.
Yes.
So this video of this fight was put in front of the judge, Judge Krause.
Yes.
In the courtroom. Okay? And we found two things. One of the things that we found is one of our co-defendants was overcharged.
Yes.
So they had to remove indictments.
They removed one of my indictments as well.
And they had to remove one of yours as well. So they were overcharged, meaning whoever put the charges in this exaggerated and it actually put the presence of you on some other videos, on some other scenarios that were running there. Then when they played the videos in court, they weren't there.
Yes.
And that was one of your cases.
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to know that my attorney also requested for me to be removed from those charges because I was not even in the building that day. And the Judge Krause said no.
Yes.
She denied to remove me from those charges because I'm being charged for what they're being charged. So I'm like the mom of the case. Whatever they were charged with, I am charged as a second degree. One was some on first degree, another on second degree, for a place where I was not there. I did not give the order. I did not promote it. And there were several policies and procedures in place on how to deal with this,
Yes.
right? And everybody was doing everything by the book. So much to the point, the judge, what was her last comment after she saw the videos?
If I remember correctly, it was, I don't see any abuse in this. And this is getting ahead of ourselves. Whenever we actually were pressured into pleading guilty, she said, I don't think that y'all went in there with any intent to have any harm, and I don't think that y'all are the type of people who would go out and cause harm now.
Having that said, this is a very important thing. Listen to this. The judge did not find you guilty.
That's correct.
Why did you plead guilty?
I was facing 25 years in prison for defending myself and my co-defendant, Officer C. And that would take me away from my family, including my father who has Parkinson's and requires 24-hour care, taking me away from my wife that we had just got married into 2020 during the pandemic. I didn't have much of a choice. It was
And this has been very expensive to
Yes.
deal with,
I had
attorney-wise.
to deal with attorneys, or multiple attorneys. My original one was asking more than half a year's salary. I wasn't able to pay that, so I was dropped and had to represent myself for the first while until I was able to find an attorney that I could actually pay. I'm not a rich person by any stretch of the imagination. I live paycheck to paycheck, just like most of the people watching this. And to find an attorney that was going to represent me, I had to do payments. I couldn't even pay it all at one time.
I want to ask you this question. Do you feel in your heart that you did any damage? Do you feel guilty in your heart?
Oh, absolutely not. If it was all to do over again right now, knowing everything that I was going to go through, I wouldn't change a thing. I did exactly what I thought was right at the time, and I still think that I did what was right. I honestly believe that if I had not engaged, I would actually feel worse about the situation, because I'm not the type of person to actually allow one of my friends to be attacked, especially whenever I see that person as a threat. He had been making threats towards staff multiple times. That's the reason why he was isolated, sitting in the lobby area. Given the fact that we had found knives and had threats of violence, it was the only action that I had to be able to go over there and restrain him, to keep my fellow officers as well as the students that we were supposed to be protecting from getting hurt.
Not only that, but we do know there were a small group of AYS students that have been sentenced to life.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have really done harm as juveniles. And of course, not all of them. We have another group of juveniles that went to AYA. They were just kids. They were easy to handle, and they were respectful, and they got the training. They understood what it was and went right back to their normal lives, and they were put right back in their schools and their lives. But there were another group that was not like that. And this other group presented a huge risk for our lives. So one of the things that I always said is they are so manipulative of what is happening or what happened in AYA. Like the life of these children were at risk, when in reality, it was our life, the ones that were at risk.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I would agree with that completely. Some of the youth that were at the school were truly a danger to themselves as well as
Yes,
the other people
and their
who were in the
parents.
school. There was one young man that he had punched his mom multiple times, and they had brought him there as a last resort before they were going to press charges on him.
And we have one of the fake witnesses
Yes.
who started this. The Dora tried to burn their own little brothers alive. So, and she has multiple times harmed them. And that was one of the reasons that she brought to the school, other situations going on in her environment at the school and everything.
Yeah.
And in the house. So, okay, having all this said, You said you were basically forced to plead guilty.
Yes.
So you felt intimidated.
Yes.
You were thinking, my life's going to go away. I'm going to go to prison, for something that I didn't do. And I don't have the money to defend myself. So basically the DA intimidating you because the judge already said that you guys didn't do this on purpose.
Yes.
You guys didn't mean for anything to happen. So she's kind of putting it out there a little bit like, what happened?
Yes.
Okay, what happened? It really nothing happened.
I don't think
Because she
anything out
said
of the
it.
ordinary happened.
She said it. I don't see the abuse. She said it.
With everything that I saw at Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice, that day was tamed by comparison.
That is correct. That is correct.
I was arrested twice for the same charges.
That was another thing, yes, because we got arrested first, and then some of you, the record disappeared.
I lost my car, I lost my house, I had to break up with the girl that I was dating at the time.
It's extremely sad.
They've taken a guy that's willing to do anything to protect the people around him to somebody who absolutely hates Fulton County.
It is not about being guilty, and it is not about committing the crime. It was about getting a conviction.